How's it going, guys? I've got a bit of gig advice for you in this lesson. This was a question I got from one of my email subscribers who says, I'm really happy with the sound that I'm getting from my amp and from my gear, but I struggle to hear myself on gigs. Sometimes when I turn up, other band members tell me to turn down. What can I do differently? So, there are two bits of advice that I would suggest in this case. The first thing that you can try and do is actually to try and raise the amp up so it's closer to your ear level. Usually, if you think about it, if your amp or your cab is on the floor and you're stood up above it, all the sound is kind of going past your feet rather than past your ear. So you may actually not hear yourself as much as you would like. But the trouble is, with other band members, such as a keys player, if they're sat down, then their ear is much closer to the height of your cab. So to them, it will feel like you're a lot louder than you feel you are. So what I would suggest, my first bit of action here, my first bit of advice, try and find either a box or a crate or something that you can take to a gig, or maybe another cab if you've got one. Not so you can double the amount of volume, but just so you can raise the actual cab that you're using up so it's closer to your ear level. By doing this, much more of the sound is going to go to your ear rather than past your legs, so you will probably get back a lot of the volume that you feel you've lost. My second bit of advice is actually to stand a little further away from the amp. This is all to do with the physics of sound, so you might have to bear with me on this a little bit. Basically, as bass sound waves travel through the air, they take longer to develop. They move like this, so quite slow and quite long and round like that, whereas higher pitch sound waves kind of move like this. So higher pitch take less distance to develop, bass take a greater distance to develop. And if you're stood right next to your amp, a lot of the time you might be kind of tricked into hearing something that isn't there. In other words, you may not hear an accurate representation of how you actually sound. If you want to know if you've got enough bass, if you've got enough treble, you've got enough mid-range, or you've got enough volume, I often find it's much better to stand maybe 2 meters in front of the amp first, play a little bit, and then try and set your sound from there, rather than trying to do it all next to the amp, because it kind of tricks your ear slightly. Okay guys, those are the two action steps for this lesson. Try raising the amp up and try standing a little further away when you're setting your sound. Let me know how this goes on your next practice or rehearsal by leaving me a comment below. I'd really be interested to hear how this is working out for you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Cheers.